Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Money Bear podcast. This is your host, Chloe Daniels, better known as Clo Bare Money Coach on the internet. And we are, we just heard, I don't know if you guys heard that, my calendar alarm going off to record this episode. But this is our quick tip episode where I am essentially going to give you a life update for those who care, and then we will dive into your money tip of the week. And this one is kind of like meshed together because I want to go on a rant about health insurance, dental insurance, and the bullshit that is our medical system. Because this week, I got a surprise bill from my dentist that said, despite everything being preventative, despite it supposedly being covered by my insurance, despite my whatchamacallit being in my network, supposedly, I still got charged and was expected to pay over $200 for a regular cleaning, like a regular checkup. And I had checked not only with the dentist office to make sure that the dentist was within my network, but I had also checked with my insurance. Like, that's how I even found the dentist, to make sure that he was within network. And turns out he was not. So my level of fury that comes with the healthcare it's unmatched. I don't know if anything makes me as mad as the United States healthcare system, because every time something like this happens, I can never not think of the fact that I have the privilege of being able to fight this, of being able to take the time, of being able to understand and read through my material about my insurance product. And I also have the money to just pay it to make sure it doesn't go to collections and then fight it, which may be a bad thing. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens with my appeal to my insurance company. But it just infuriates me because so many people do not have the time to fight it. They don't have the resources to fight it. They don't have the ability to do what I just said, which is just pay it so it doesn't go to collections and be done with it. And that's so messed up. That's not how it should be. Healthcare is a basic human right. But not in this country, not in the United States, where we value profit over people. And that is the issue with capitalism, my friends. And I recognize that there are good things about capitalism. I personally benefit from capitalism. I understand that. But I would be more than happy to double my tax rate just to make sure healthcare was accessible to everyone, to make sure people got the services that they needed. But that's just me. So here's what happened essentially with this medical bill that happened with the dentist. So I got the bill and they billed me twice. So I had one bill for $90. I think it was like $97. Then I had another bill for over $125. And when I got the first bill, the $90 bill, I was like, oh, surprised that I had to pay $90, because I was like, oh, this should be covered 100%. But instead of even looking at my insurance to confirm, I just decided, I'm just going to pay it, thinking that, oh, I must have made a mistake somewhere. But then when I got the second bill that was over $100, I was like, what the heck is happening here? This doesn't make any sense. Why would a dentist visit that it was purely preventional, that was just a cleaning, cost me over $200? And so I pull up my insurance that I had to like search for the login for to figure out what the heck, like what, because I never use it. I use it once a year. And I go in, and sure enough, when I pull him up, he is listed as in network. Well, then when I go and I look at my claims, are showing that he's out of network. So I'm like, well, this clearly is a mistake. He's in my network. It says right here on the insurance's website that he is in network. Let me call and see what the heck is going on. So I spend like an hour trying to get a hold of the insurance company, which again, that is time. That is a waste of my time for something that I shouldn't have to be doing. But I do it anyway because of the principle. And I call them. I'm like, hey, I think this was coded wrong, or it was a mistake because it's showing that he's out of network. But I have here on your website showing me that he's in network. And they're like, that's weird, because when we look him up, he's showing is out of network for you. And I was like, doesn't make sense. And that's like clearly a differing response than what I'm getting from your website. So what's the issue here? And so she obviously didn't really know what the issue was. So she's like, the best thing that you can do is file an appeal. And I was like, all right, cool. Guess what the appeal process is? I have to print off and send a letter in the mail to the insurance company explaining why I think I should get my money back. And whether or not they accept the appeal, whether or not they say, yeah, we messed up, who knows? I mean, it's snail mail. How long does it take? I'm lucky they didn't have to like hire a horse and carriage to go deliver it to them since it's freaking archaic. But I sent that off. And then I was like, I'm going to also call the dentist office because, again, this is weird. This doesn't really make sense. I call the dentist office. They're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, if he's showing his in network, he should be in network. And I'm like, so what's going on here? Why am I getting charged? And they're like, we don't know. And the lady who I talked to the first time was like, let me just, take your information down and I'll call you back. And again, at this point, an hour and a half has passed because it's not like any of this doesn't take time. It all takes forever, right? And so they do that. They look it up and she's like, all right, I'm going to take your information and then I'll have Tiffany call you back tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool. Sounds good. So the next day I get a call from Tiffany, who is like the billing department, and she calls me and she's like, yeah, you're out of network. And I was like, interesting, because my insurance is showing that I'm actually in network and I wouldn't have picked this dentist office had I been out of network. And she's like, yeah, no, we haven't taken your insurance, which is United Healthcare, for years. And I'm like, you were able to give me such an easy answer that I'm out of network, that we haven't accepted this type of business for years. Why did the front desk staff not decide to tell me that, hey, United Healthcare, yeah, we don't take this. You're out of network. You're going to have to pay almost full price for this. Why wasn't that a conversation? Why didn't somebody not just give me a heads up and say like, hey, I know you think you're in network, but you're actually not. It was so easy for the billing department to be like, oh, I know what the issue is. The issue is that you're not in network. We don't take a United Healthcare. Excuse me? Do you know how easy it would have been for somebody to just tell me that? And so I wish the people pleaser in me reared its head and I was like, I'm not going to take this out on her. I'm not going to say like, what the fuck? I wish I had said, why did your front desk not tell me that? That seems like a pretty basic thing that somebody should have to tell somebody when they're trying to figure out what their bill is going to be for the dentist. And I didn't say that. And I don't know why I didn't say that. Instead, what I said was, I get it. I get that insurance is confusing. Can you please help me understand what I need to do in the future to avoid this situation? Because obviously, I would not have picked this dentist office had I known it was out of network for me. That's stupid. And she's like, you need to just call your insurance next time. And I'm like, okay, thanks so fucking much. So I get off there. I immediately go leave them a 2-star review. The only reason I gave them 2 stars is because this makes it all the more awkward. My dad went to college with the dentist, and I didn't know that at the time when I was booking this appointment, but then it came up over dinner one night, and I was like, oh yeah, that's who I'm going to the dentist to, like, the dude you went to college with. He's like, oh, no way. Tell him I say hi. So this dentist knows that my dad knows him, and I, Chloe Daniels, left him a bad Google review. I want to say right now, for the record, I would have given him 1 star, but I didn't want to be... He was fine. His service, checking my teeth, cleaning my teeth, that was fine. But the fact that they decided not to tell me that I was out of network and thought that was okay, that is bullshit. And that is something I would happily warn everyone else from going there for. And then the other thing that annoyed me was that, and I put that in my review, let me tell you. I said, the dentist is fine, but here are the things that frustrated me. The number one thing that frustrated me was they made me come back twice. So I've never had this happen at a dentist office before, where I sign up for my first visit with them and they're like, oh, this is the diagnostic visit. We're going to take x-rays. We're going to basically come up with a care plan for you in this session. And then in the next session, we'll do whatever your treatment plan is, which for me, my treatment plan is just getting my teeth cleaned. That's it. The regular teeth cleaning that prior to this visit, I've always had that all in one, because who has the freaking time to go to the dentist twice and whatever. And not only that, it took me a month to get on his calendar. So it was like I had to wait a month to get into his office. And then the teeth cleaning was another month later. So that already annoyed me about this whole situation. And it would have been nice to have been warned that's how they did the system prior to going in. But of course they didn't. And so that was my first complaint. And then my second complaint was the whole situation with billing. The fact that nobody told me, hey, you're out of network. Hey, we have not taken United Healthcare for years. So it makes me feel like this was a money grab for them. It makes me feel like I got played. And I'm hoping that my insurance will realize that this was also their mistake for not making sure that the person they're listing as in network is actually in network. If they're not in network, he should not be listed on my form. So, but of course, people are trying to blame me, saying I should have called my insurance in addition to checking the online portal. I should have also called to make sure that this person who is showing up on my insurance, and the office hasn't said that he's not like in my network, but I should have also called. That's so fucking stupid. That's so fucking stupid. It should not be that way. It should not be this confusing roundabout figuring out like some game that if I don't play the game right, I'm not going to get coverage. How dumb is that? I pay for dental insurance, and here I am having to pay full price, essentially. My insurance covered out of network up to $40. It's just so fucking stupid. So anyway, I find that infuriating. And not only that, but I also had a mole decide to like scab up and fall off of my arm and then grow back, which means I need to get it checked. And of course, after going through this with my dental insurance, I was like, all right, they're not going to get me this time. I'm going to go through and I'm going to look and see like, what does my insurance really cover? And I'm going to call and I'm going to triple check to make sure that whoever I go with, whoever my dermatologist is, they are in network, and I'm not going to suddenly be forced to pay a $200 bill that I could have avoided. So that was like another 2-hour process because it's complicated, it's not straightforward, and it's ridiculous. And I realized as I went through my schedule of benefits that freaking chemotherapy is not covered on my insurance. Yeah. And my maximum annual out of pocket, guess what it is? And this is like maximum annual out of pocket, meaning all my co-insurances after I meet the deductible, because that's a different number, right? My maximum out of pocket for a year is $100,000. $100,000. $100,000. How fucking insane is that? And it doesn't cover chemo. It doesn't cover IUDs. It doesn't cover any form of birth control. And so as I was going through this, I was like, wow, I need to get new health insurance. This is terrible. And so I called obviously right now is not open enrollment period, which is the time, unless you have a life change, that you can enroll in the marketplace's insurance and Obamacare. And I missed that, obviously. So I'm on my terrible insurance right now. And so I called the broker who does my insurance, and I was like, we got to figure something else out here, because I just discovered not only does my insurance not cover mental health or birth control, but also if I were ever to get cancer, I'd have to pay out of pocket for that, up to $100,000 a year. So we need to figure this out. So it's just been a week for insurance. I did end up finding a slightly better plan that will at the very least cover me. I think it's $4,000 per treatment per like day of chemotherapy if I ever had to get chemotherapy, which knock on wood, hopefully I never have to. But that does give me some comfort that something is covered, and it's 2 insurances. Not only am I getting the regular health insurance, but I'm also getting like essentially gap coverage. So for anytime I have a medical expense, I have to submit it to the second insurance and then get money back per different thing, whatever it is that I'm doing. So I feel better about that, but that will be, which like, let's be honest, that's like slightly better than what I'm doing right now, but a little bit more coverage, a little bit more peace of mind. In order for me to do that, I have to pay about $100 extra a month. So I think that's worth it for the peace of mind. I also think it's worth it because now mental health will be covered if I need to go, which I would not mind getting a therapist this year just to work through some stuff. But yeah, so that's, I guess, my health insurance rant, because I think it's bullshit. Now, obviously with the money tip, I want to also give a money tip. And really my money tip this time is talking about what I'm planning to do to avoid the situation in the future. I don't know if I'm going to get my freaking $220 back or not. It's not really, that's a big deal. I am luckily in a position where that is not a big deal. It's just a frustrating situation. It's an annoying situation because it should have been covered. But what I'm going to do in the future to avoid this, so for example, when I get a doctor with my dermatologist appointment, I will be calling my insurance to tell me whether or not this person who I picked from their website is actually in my network or not. That's what I'm going to do. And then when I go into the actual appointment, I am also going to have them tell me before I ever sit down at the doctor's office what I should expect to pay based off of my insurance and if this person is indeed in my network. So I'm going to like quadruple check. I'm going to check on the website. I'm going to call them. I'm going to have the office tell me whether or not that they are on my insurance. And then I'm also going to ask for the price. So I believe that's called the No Surprises Act. It was incorporated last year. I don't know if it applies to dermatologists. I think it does because dermatologists are still considered medical professionals because they are. So I should at the very least be able to get a ballpark figure for what I should expect to pay for this mole biopsy. So that's what I'm doing, but I also want to emphasize the importance of reviewing your schedule of benefits for your insurance. Here I am, somebody who is money savvy, who knows a lot about personal finance and investing, and yet I had never fully looked at my schedule of benefits. I had looked at like what my copays and things like that would be, but I never really looked at what is and is not covered by my health insurance, and same with my dental insurance. And when I saw how terrible my plan was, I realized I needed to change it because I'm not comfortable with the possibility that I could get cancer and it would not be covered. And then I'm bankrupt with $100,000 a year in expenses for my health. And my health is important. And here I am planning on spending $3,000 a month on rent or a mortgage, but I'm not willing to pay $500 more a month for good health insurance. That's just stupid. That's a stupid way of prioritizing things. Sure, am I begrudging about the fact that it's so expensive to stay healthy in the United States? Absolutely. I think it's bullshit. It makes me mad. It makes me concerned for our entire system, for all of the people who cannot afford the crap that the United States is expecting us to afford. But I still gotta do it. I gotta recognize the system that I live in, and I have to make sure that I'm not screwing myself over within that system, right? So, yeah, just needed to write home about that, guys, because it's incredibly infuriating. And I think what I find even more infuriating is the fact that I feel like I have very little control over it. Because I did what you're supposed to do. I made sure my doctor was in network. I went to the appointment and I gave them my insurance card. The only thing I guess I did that I should have done is I didn't call my insurance company to double check that their website was accurate, and I didn't make the front desk tell me whether or not the doctor was in network. So that's what I will be doing moving forward. But just so frustrating. And what's interesting too is when I posted this story on TikTok, I got so many comments about how the exact same thing is happening to them. How it's specific to dentist office, how dentist office often just try to milk you for as much money as they can, and that it's not actually legal for them to tell you it's a network when it's not, but nobody's enforcing that, and so they just get away with it. It's just so fucking frustrating. So, yeah, just need to tell you all that. But again, I got to recognize my privilege in this situation. A $210 bill, $220 bill is not going to derail my finances or derail my goals, but it could derail so many people's goals. This is why people don't get care. This is why people delay going to the doctors, because they're afraid of what the price is going to be. And that's just not a world I want to live in. I would love to live in a world where we prioritize people, where we care about others, where we want to make sure everyone's covered, where we're willing to pay more taxes in order to make that happen. And we don't. So, yeah, I guess that's my life update and my money tip is check your schedule of benefits. Make sure you understand what you need to be paying. Call to triple check that your person, if you have a PPO, that the doctor is in network so that you don't have to pay a ridiculous amount for something that you shouldn't have to pay full price for, especially when you're paying for insurance. And then let's just all burn it to the ground. Yes, you heard me. So, all right, my friends, that is the quick tip episode for the week. So I appreciate you listening to my rant. If you have any of your own money saving tips when it comes to healthcare, you know where to find me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Money Bear podcast. If you've made it this far, do us a favor, take 2 seconds, rate, review, and subscribe. It seriously means the world to me. And if you just take a second to do that, I will appreciate you endlessly. And if you do, let me know on Instagram and I'll thank you personally. So, got that. And of course, since we were talking about anything financial on this show, please note that nothing on this show is intended as financial advice. I don't know you, unfortunately. And because of that, I cannot tell you what to do with your money. You got to work with a financial professional who knows your situation, who is preferably a fiduciary. And keep in mind that everything that we talk about on this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. It's all my opinion. So, there's that. If you want to see our full terms and conditions, head on over to the show notes. And while you're there, we've got free resources for you to get started on your money journey down in the show notes as well, including a free guide to help you with your budgeting templates and budgeting tutorials and investing 101, understanding the different accounts that are out there. All that good stuff is inside of my free guide, which is also available at thelazyinvestorscourse.com/guide. And if you're ready to take our relationship to the next level, I am also hosting a monthly investing class. And that investing class, you can find the times we're offering it this month at thelazyinvestorscourse.com/webinar. That link is in the show notes as well. And that's where you have the chance to meet me live and ask those money questions live. It's a good time. We've had over 20,000 people as of recording this join or register. And yeah, it's always nice to meet you guys. So I hope to see you there. Again, all that is available down in the show notes. So thank you again for coming and listening. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.